Ladies and gentlemen, you are now behind enemy lines, and boy, oh boy, that name. Gene Baradelli and Ross Galloway here with you on a rather somber Wednesday evening as we're recording this. No need to really ask how everybody's doing, but I'm going to do it anyway. Ross, what's going on, man?
Terrible day, man. Terrible day.
Terrible in many ways, not only individually for people, but in collectively as a nation. And tonight, folks, is going to be kind of a therapy session slash venting session slash discussion about the news and the events of the day and what we think may be coming. People are filing in as we speak right now, including one of our guests that I see back in the chat. Now, I'm going to try to remain not humorless, but a little more somber, but I feel like we need to do our normal intro for everybody that walks in.
So I want to thank you all for being here. And now, who am I introducing next? Who's next?
Who's next is our friend Biff from Sackheads Media, SHR Media. How you doing, pal? You okay?
This has affected me in a way that I had sorely not been anticipating at all.
Well, listen, you gotta make me a promise, man. I can't have anybody like pass out on air. I mean,
well,
it's
no,
happened
I'm
before,
not
but
pass out. There were six deputies that worked for me at one point that were killed by gunfire when I was working with the sheriff's department. At another sheriff's department, I killed a guy. So I'm familiar with death. I worked robbery. I worked homicide. I was a cop for 41 years. That said, this was completely unanticipated. There are certain deaths that affect you in a way that you didn't see this coming. It's like, for example, I'll give two, one political, the other one doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But it's as if your comfort level has been disturbed to the point where you simply assumed that the person with whom you're thinking was going to be in your realm forever. And then it became disturbing on its face simply when they ceased to exist. Reagan, for example. I'm a super old dude. And that was very disturbing for me. I grew up with Reagan. Another bizarre kind of thing. Warren Zevon, when he passed away, was very disturbing to me for a whole host of different ways. My dad, who I knew was going to die when he passed away, was extremely disturbing. And then it's as if there are certain people that revolve around in your universe when suddenly they no longer exist, and then you add all the additional variables that are involved with this, and then you add politics, and then you add a young man like this. One of the first things I thought of, by the way, do you curse on this show?
Hell yeah. Fuck
okay.
Yeah.
One of the first things I thought of was, what the fuck is happening when a 75-year-old bad man like me, who has done evil in his life, who may not be going to heaven, because I profess to attempt to kind of sort of try to be a Christian, but how am I still here when I've abused what I've abused and done what I've done over the years? Why am I still here? And that man is gone. Infinitely better man than I will ever be.
Well, you know what?
I have to be cognizant of that.
You know what, BZ? I kind of have an answer for you for that. I think you were around, like I am, to torture this next gentleman who's going to be coming on stage right now.
So I want to thank you all for being here. And now, who am I introducing next? Who's next?
Sorry.
That's okay. Rick, I was just telling BZ that you're the reason why he's still around, and it's basically to torture you.
No, that's your gig. He likes me.
I get to share it. So listen, guys. I got a ton of clips. I got a ton of things that we can all talk about. Ross, I want to give you an opportunity as well, and then Rick, I'll let you vent as well initially here. But we got a lot of ground to cover tonight. So go ahead, pal.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to set my stage real quick because I sort of know where Gene goes with some of these conversations, and this is not a dig at you, Gene, but
None taken.
The problem here is the fucking Democrats, right? They're a cult. They believe they can control the climate, the weather. They worship death, and they worship the government. I have a whole lot more to say about these assholes, but the problem are the Democrats, the cult of Democrats and the left. No matter what you say, it's not the rhetoric. It's not lack of security. It's not some mentally ill guy with a gun. It's the fucking Democrats.
And there's certainly enough evidence for that point of view that we're going to be talking about as well. Rick, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of right where he is. I've been talking about this for the last couple of hours because we preempted all programming today, and I just kind of had somebody on to talk with me about it a little bit, and we've been talking about it. But all I'm going to say is this: one, for all of you that are angry right now, Mr. Kirk, and I'll call him Mr. Kirk over here because I do know him, but not as well as I wish, or I did know him, but not as well as I wish I did. Would not be advocating for you guys to pick up a banner with his name on it and march off to war. But I will say this: I am now fully on board with Jesse Kelly's amicable divorce idea. We can't coexist with these people anymore, period.
I equate the Democrats to Islam. They're a barbaric death cult.
Well, there's certainly a trend going forward, and we're going to be talking about that trend as well. But I want to give everybody a little taste of what Ross and BZ and what Rick are talking about here. I don't know if I necessarily am on board with everything, but I certainly see the argument, and I think it's time to look back on just a few highlights from the past before today that sort of led up to today. So let's watch this together, and then we'll continue on.
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face.
I said if we were in high school, I'd take him behind the gym and beat the hell out of him.
Punch some people in the face!
When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Look as his character is stabbed to death.
Where is John Wilkes Booth when you need him?
I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
A Missouri state senator is under investigation by the Secret Service after saying she hopes President Trump is assassinated.
I will go and take Trump out tonight. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
And sadly, the domestic enemies to our voting system and our honoring our Constitution are right at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
And they were right. We ain't seen nothing yet. It's going to get worse before it gets better here. These are not fringe people that are on that screen in that video we just saw. We're talking about Nancy Pelosi, who herself, her family, a victim of political violence from a whack job. We're talking about Kamala Harris. We're talking about mainstream media personalities, buffoons like Don Lemon, who, by the way, should be Buffoon of the Week this week, but I'm just saying. People, Ross, and thank you for digging up that old clip. People who are in the mainstream of thought on the left. I'm trying to make your argument for you, pal.
No, and I agree with you, right? I brought this up numerous times on this show. Tell me who a modern day moderate Democrat is. I will wait. Point one out to me. When you say like the fringe base of a party, that's the majority of the Democratic Party. There are no moderate Democrats. Name one that is for closing the border or is pro death penalty for, like, I don't know, cop killers or child predators, right? There's not one of them that has a rational middle of the road view on anything, right? So I think, and Rick mentioned this earlier, and I've said this numerous times as well. It's time for a national divorce. I'm ready to part ways with these fuckers and let them have their own plot of land. They can have whatever part they pick. I'll even let them pick it.
Andrew Young in the chat says that Fetterman is probably the closest one to what you're.
And he's got brain damage. So there you go.
And you know what? I'll say this, and Rick, I'll go to you, and then BZ, I'm coming at you next. Charlie Kirk, for all of the shit he was getting about having extremist views, probably a middle of the road conservative, at least in my opinion. What do you think?
No, I agree. So first of all, Fetterman does have brain damage, but Fetterman 2.0 seems to have been rewired in a way that makes him make more sense to the right now than the left. But yeah, with Charlie Kirk, and I said this earlier, he was probably one of the best among us. He was probably one the left wanted to keep alive because he was the one trying to bring rational discourses into places that didn't want rational discourse anymore.
Yeah.
We're kind of getting past that point now. This may have been a mistake in a way that they don't see it.
So here's the thing, and I'll throw this out to you, BZ, because you have the most life experience of us all. There was once upon a time when I used to say, I don't think I can get away with saying it anymore, is that you had three different types on the left. You had liberals, you had leftists, and you had Democrats. Not exactly in that order, but you get what I'm saying here. Are those days over? Is everyone just a leftist now?
Who are you throwing that to, Gene?
I'm throwing that to BZ, if you can hear me.
Oh, okay. Sure. I thought you were still talking to...
No, you're good. You're good.
What you just saw basically was, on the video, was a perfect collection of Democrats and leftists who are making accusations the likes of which they themselves are guilty, only infinitely worse. It's like trying to split the baby. Okay, so let me ask you guys, what's the midpoint on abortion? Sort of aborted, kind of aborted, splitting the baby. What's the midpoint to a secure border? 100, 1 million, 10 million? I think 20 million is probably a more accurate figure than that. How do you reconcile the unfettered flooding of our country with drugs, illegal invaders, disease, etc.? If JFK, who is spinning in his grave, were brought back and shoved into the Capitol, he would think everyone is insane. And he might even make a poor Republican because he had, except in his personal life, apparently some values. These are insane days. These are uneasy days. I had mentioned Kirk Schlichter I've had him on my show a bunch of times, and he has written a series of books about an extremely dystopian society. And when I first had him on in, I think, 18 or something like that, we both were, like Don Martin cartoons. We both go, ha ha, yuck, yuck, uben, glit, gleben, broof. This shit will never happen until the shit happens, and how does one reconcile that? How do you speak? I was going to have a show until today. I was going to have a show tomorrow, which said, okay, we're going to talk about Democrats, we're going to talk about illegals, we're going to talk about thugs, and then this happens. It's like, okay, so then a logical thinking human being has to ask themselves in some kind of fashion, where does this stop? Do we in fact split the baby? And where do we split the baby? Well, if you want to see how some of that may occur, read a Kurt Schlichter book. It's just, it's prescient. It's nuts. Like all of you here, I don't have any family left. My parents have all passed. My grandparents, my great-grandparents, I knew them, have all passed. Ask yourself this question. How would you possibly explain today's society, what you're seeing today? How could you possibly explain that to not just your grandparents or perhaps your parents? My dad was in World War II. He flew B-17s over Germany. How would you explain, dude, this is what you almost died for. This is for what you flew 35 missions. Now, here it is. Explain this to me. Well, if I can't explain it, how can anyone else explain this? This geometrically nuts world. It's nuts.
Well,
you're trying to reason with the insane.
I think that's what we're going to try to endeavor to do here. We just hit the Wayback Machine into Trump's first term. I just want to reset to yesterday. This is Senator Chris Murphy in a video that was released yesterday.
We're in a war right now to save this country, and so you have to be willing to do whatever is necessary in order to save the country.
One more time.
Like we're in a war right now to save this country, and so you have to be willing to do whatever is necessary in order to save the country.
What about Tim Kaine? Government is God.
Oh yeah, I mean, those are things that we can be talking about that we should have been talking about had today not happened, right? And this is what I can't stand about whenever something like this happens. And Rick, I'll throw this to you. So you have Chris Murphy there talking about we're in a war, and then he goes into the halls of the Senate and says this.
First, note that we are all horrified watching images and following the news out of Utah, and we are sending all of our thoughts to Mr. Kirk, to his family, to survivors there.
I'm sorry, I call bullshit on that.
Well, at least the Senate had the decorum not to boo when somebody was talking about it, unlike the House for the Democrats.
Oh, we have that as well.
But yeah, I mean, my first question about Mr. Murphy is, where did his cheese square and Ukraine flag go?
I mean, they seem to come
where'd they go? They're not there anymore. But no, it's just, again, and this is something that I've been saying all day, and some people have been misunderstanding it. You need to pay more attention to the people that are still celebrating, not the ones that have tucked tail and changed their tune. Because the ones that are still celebrating, ISIS style, are the ones that we should be watching. Because all the political figures that are clutching pearls today, when they were just, last week, oh my God, did he finally die? He hasn't been in the news for 3 days. Yeah, you none of y'all got. I don't want to hear about your thoughts and prayers. I don't want to hear about none of your BS, because you're either disingenuous hacks trying to make yourselves famous, or you have no balls. But you really need to pay attention to the ones that are still celebrating, because those are the ones that we need to worry about, because those are the ones that are like the dude that did this today that they've now thought they've caught twice.
Yeah, ghouls and thugs out there that are out there celebrating on Blue Sky and other social media platforms, including on X and in other places. But let's talk about some ghouls out there right now in the press. This is a clip from, I think it's MSDNC, from Matt Dowd.
I call them PMS now. Because
I you know what? I call him a piece of shit. And Galloway, you're up after this.
What was just said, he's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions.
This is the kind of asshole that blames the woman for getting SA'd and raped because she was wearing that slutty outfit and she was asking for it. He's out there blaming Charlie Kirk for his own demise because, in his opinion, he was saying hate speech, whatever the hell he thinks that means.
Yeah, bro, these are always the people that never actually listen to what a guy like Charlie Kirk actually says, right? They read something in Axios or Politico about an event, and then they form a dumb opinion like that. Charlie Kirk actually was doing the thing the left claims they want everyone to do. Every time something happens, it's time to have a national discussion on fill in the fucking blank stupid topic that's important to them, right? So Charlie Kirk was doing that. He was going to college campuses and having national discussions on the issues of the day. And what was his reward? A leftist killed him, right? We don't know who it was. I'm going to go out on a limb. It was a leftist.
It was certainly someone that hated Charlie Kirk, and that list is long on that side of the aisle. I got to pull up this video because to me, this is prescient. It's prophetic from Charlie Kirk, and it goes exactly to what you were talking about, Ross. Let me get this up on the screen.
I go around universities and have challenging conversations, and because that's what is so important to our country, is to find our disagreements respectfully, because when people stop talking, that's when violence happens.
I've never seen someone do this.
Well, it's a growing trend because people like me are facing violence, assault, the left. Yes, the campus Antifa. I've been stormed out of restaurants. I've been assaulted publicly, multiple death threats.
Okay, so what's your goal in all this?
There's more people that agree with me than some people would actually believe, and they come out of the woodwork when I do stuff like this. We record all of it so that we put on the internet so people can see these ideas collide. When people stop talking, that's when you get violence. That's when civil war happens, because you start to think the other side is so evil and they lose their humanity.
When people stop talking, that's when you get violence.
But you're trying to deal with people who believe fundamentally and foundationally that there is no such thing as the First Amendment, that the best, most efficacious utilization of speech against bad speech is more speech, not no speech. And there's a primary rift between both sides of the aisle, shall we say, when you don't even understand that. When you have Tim Kaine doing that, when you have that other guy whose name escapes me right now, saying that, it's just the rift be repaired?
So MSDNC, thanks Rick for finding this, put out onto X a statement concerning Matthew Dowd's comments, calling them inappropriate, insensitive, and unacceptable. That, to me, as an attorney, is code word, Rick, for please don't sue me for defaming your dead husband. Oh, Rick, you there, pal? You okay?
Yeah, no, sorry, I was working on something else, and I thought you were going to keep talking.
Oh,
But no,
you gotta pay attention in class here, pal.
That's part of the reason why I sent it to you, because I knew you would pick up the same thing that I did. Is like, this is attorney speak for please don't sue me for what this asshole just did.
It absolutely is. And, you know, I think it's because it's blown up so much. I mean, BZ sent me a page from Newsbusters here, which I got to get all the cookies things out from and all that. Let me make sure. Is that up on the screen yet? Or hang on, let me stop sharing that tab and start sharing this other one, because I appreciate you guys contributing to the show. So unlike anyone else on the show that comes on here with me to send me links during the show while we're actually talking. I'm not pointing any fingers at anyone. That guy over there.
You mean that guy up there now, above BZ?
I mean, I'm not gonna point fingers. But this is a story.
I got to point down. Point down. He's right below you now. It's all good.
So this is a story from Newsbusters, talking about how MSNBC ghouls insist Charlie Kirk's hate speech got him shot, and we obviously saw that statement as well. I'll put all these links into the description on replay, guys, so you can see all these stories and not have me scroll through them for you. So that's one mainstream media example. Here's another one from ABC News.
Kirk has been shot during an event at Utah Valley University. The founder of Turning Point USA, a conservative student organization, is known for his outspoken views on politics, culture, religion, often taking his messages to colleges and universities, sparking sometimes pretty heated debates on campus. Let's get right to our chief investigative correspondent, Aaron Katursky.
Oh, no.
He talks.
He
Oh,
talked?
no.
He talks.
Damn him.
So therefore, he should be unalived with a bullet. And because I'm on YouTube, I'm trying to be as good as we can. But I got to give a shout out to the over 50 people on X right now that joined us. I'm glad you guys are here with us. BZ, I want to bring this one to you here. What do you think about all these media companies prefacing all of their coverage of this by saying outspoken, controversial, all these buzzwords that they want to signal? And what inference do you think people are taking from that?
Well, you have to go back to the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, who classified early Charlie Kirk, that guy right there, the infinitely better man than I will ever be, as a hater, as a promulgator of hate, racism, sexism, misogyny. And again, I go back to, if that's your foundational point from which you attempt to expand, then there is no rationale. There's no trying to find a midpoint to all of these people. There is, if leftists had their way at this point, we'd be two political bodies down by now, both carried out with great efficacy, live on video, live on camera. With luck, we only had one, but now we have two. Yay. But this also makes me ask, okay, Charlie Kirk, I think everyone here will accede to very effective. One of the greatest presenters I've seen. We have all known individuals. There's a judge that comes to my mind immediately, Judge Ransom in Sacramento. These guys thought on their feet with lightning speed. They had great extemporaneous powers. All of this information came flooding into their brains. The circuits were enlivened, and they were able to make these wonderful extemporaneous arguments that people, when people, God, there was a video that I had on my show, and I'm going to try to find it again. It wasn't Charlie Kirk, but it was a guy that was talking to a leftist chick, and she was saying blah 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 blah, and then facts from him, blah blah blah, facts, and then she hits him. Now give her a rifle, and that's just what happened today. No argument, frustration, and then the nutcases come out. So Charlie Kirk was a beautiful guy doing what he did. Many people have already said, is it not impossible? Is it not impossible that he was responsible for getting Trump elected in a great fashion? Oh, quite possibly so.
The infrastructure he built with Turning Point USA is
incredible,
absolutely breathtaking, unreal, and clearly TPUSA will endure even this monumental loss.
You have to do what I call BZ's logical extension, which is this. Okay, another if-then BZ equation. If Charlie Kirk was killed for doing what he did, what about who's next? Who's the next biggest? Well, who's one of the biggest influencers that was in Pennsylvania? Would you not submit perhaps Scott Pressler? In whose scope hairs is he right now? And then you have to go down the line. Politicians.
I'm sure a lot of people out there are
Conservative.
certainly questioning that. I know Tim Pool had a whole episode.
He
had a whole episode on YouTube earlier today talking about how he may be canceling multiple events on campuses that he was planning on doing. I still think we need to examine the mainstream of thought that Ross started out by talking about. And he presented me with a lot of clips. I want to make sure I get to a lot of them, but I also have others that I cherry picked out to show it as well. One of them is a flashback from earlier this year, and this is from a speech in South Carolina involving everyone's favorite useful idiot, Tim Walz. So here's the first one, then there'll be a second one.
I'm called out on this because I called Donald Trump a wannabe dictator. It's because he is. It's because he is. Oh. The governor's being mean, and the governor's speaking out on that. Well, maybe it's time for us to be a little meaner. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce.
Sure. Be a little bit more mean, to be a little more fiercer, and apparently also hope and pray that you'll get news one day of the president's demise.
Doom scroll through things, and although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime, just so you know, there will be news.
Again, this is the mainstream of political thought here on the left, and I want to round it out with another person blaming Trump for this rhetoric, and this is where I'll let you talk, Galloway. Governor Pritzker. Here he is.
To Charlie Kirk's family and to Charlie Kirk, who obviously has, become a target for somebody. I don't know whether it's political violence because I don't know who did it.
It's like he's choking on the words as it's coming out of his fucking pie hole. But let's keep going.
I know they seem to have somebody in custody. But I will say that political violence, unfortunately, has been ratcheting up in this country. We saw the shootings, the killings in Minnesota. We've seen other political violence occur in other states. And I would just say it's got to stop. And I think there are people who are fomenting it in this country. I think the president's rhetoric often foments it. We've seen the January 6th
what about yours?
rioters who clearly, have tripped a new era of political violence.
I swear to God, he's Chris Christie with hair. That's all he is. Galloway, take over. You're running the show for a while.
Yeah, so I mean, you talked about MSNBC and you played these clips, and they're telling you what they really think, right? First of all, using force to get your political way, that is like basic political science 101, the definition of fascism, right? They are the fascists, and they accuse us of being fascist. The left, for a while now, has been saying that speech equals violence, depending on what you say. And our side, to be honest, Gene, and we all need to tone down the rhetoric, right? That's what everyone says. And that's what this fat Pritzker just said, too. We don't, right? You know my position on this. Our side falls into that trap. Speech ain't fucking violence. Violence is violence, right? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. So don't fall into that trap. There is no moral equivalence with the Democrats. Zero. These people are evil, right? When we say something that is controversial, that speech does not equal violence, and it's not a green light to shoot someone, right? And the shooting is only coming in one direction right now, right? So there is no moral equivalence. I don't want to hear about January 6th. I don't want to hear about what Trump says, right? Because last time I checked, none of our guys are going out hunting down Democrats.
Well, if you ask the people in Minnesota about the speaker that was just killed there, they'll say that guy Bolter is a Republican. When I believe that he was more of a lost ally of Walz there. But let me give you another flavor of what Ross is talking about here. This is from one of those talking heads at MSDNC.
Structure for violence. You've got polls about political violence. Democrats don't think it's a good idea. Only Republicans. Only people inclined to consume conservative media are now, I think, upward of 50% say that if necessary, violence is okay. You've only got the conduct on one of the two sides.
Excuse me while I actually call bullshit on Nicole Wallace here, because believe it or not, there are polls on this. And when you look at those polls, especially recently, as recent as April of this year, you're going to find that those polls show that the left is the side, I should say, that tolerates violence. So now, this is one
Gene, before you go
here.
into this real quick, because I feel like we always have to preface anything Nicole Wallace says with one thing. Just so everybody's tracking. She was actually in the Bush administration, right? So these are the people that have been masquerading as Republicans for quite some time, and is why our party sucks. Go ahead, Gene.
No, thank you for bringing that up. So this is just an example of, the right doing violence. Oh, wait, no. This is toleration of violence in L.A. to sort out.
The only thing that's missing from that is the MS or the PMS Now logo with somebody standing in front saying nothing to see, nothing to see. Yeah, because that's about what that was.
Frank Drebin from Police Squad, absolutely.
But yeah, so just so you know, anytime I ever see JB Pritzker, this is how I introduce him. That's Governor JB. That's no moon. That's my ass Pritzker.
Okay, that's no moon. That's a space station, Pritzker. We can keep going.
Well, it's as big. His ass is as big as the Death Star, so that's kind of the point.
There you go. Here's the article I wanted to get to. Why progressives increasingly support violence. A new survey, and this is from April of 25, finds more than half of left-wing respondents believe assassinating President Trump could be justified. I want to highlight one part of the article here before I let you guys talk again. And BZ, I'll be coming to you in a second here. Our report discovered an online assassination culture found in predominantly left-leaning digital spaces such as Blue Sky and Reddit. This subculture justifies and glorifies political violence. Some of these networks' users wield the name Luigi for Luigi Mangione, who is on trial for unaliving Brian Thompson. And the numbers are pretty shocking. I have to actually find the paragraph where it talks about the numbers here. Give me 1 second. Here it is. We found, and this is city-journal.org, we found that nearly 1/3 of Americans surveyed, and around half of those identifying as left of center, believe that the murder of certain public figures is at least somewhat justified. The figures are startling. Yeah, you think? 38% of responders and 55% of those left of center said assassinating Trump would be at least somewhat justified. 31% of respondents and 48% left of center said the same about Elon Musk. Now, these were the names du jour going around in April of this year. Tell me again, BZ, that it's a problem on both sides when half the respondents in this survey say, yeah, it's okay to unalive people.
This is how old I am. I grew up during the SLA. I grew up during the SDS. I was going out for SFPD when I don't remember who took credit for this, but there was a bomb placed in front of an SFPD station. I'm sufficiently old that in the 70s, when I got into a cop car, and when cops weren't secured behind cop cars and equipment weren't secured behind fencing, we had to look for what today would be known as IEDs. The Black Panthers blew up and killed a cop in Sacramento. That's where I worked, for Sacramento County. So I'm well familiar with leftist violence, and it comes from them. The Red Brigades, also from the 60s and the 70s. Leftists have always been violent, period, end of statement. And I don't know too many cops that are looking under their automobiles for IEDs, but at the station that I had at one point, we had a mirror on little wheels to look under your chassis of your 70, whatever the fuck it was, car at the time, to make sure that there wasn't something attached with grease or tape to your chassis.
Yeah.
So tell me about leftist violence. I was right there with it.
And I'm going to get back to you in a second, but I know that my partner, I know that face. And I know there's a rant coming. So, I mean, when you've been doing a show with someone for 15 years, you kind of get those little cues. I'm going to lay out, pal. It's all you.
So I was going to open with this, but the conversation was going so good, and I was thinking about saving this to the end. But let me just get this out there because it might spark some little mini conversations here. Let me just go on this rant, fellas, for a minute. All right, the Democrats, right? They shot Steve Scalise. They beat up Rand Paul and countless other MAGA supporters wearing red hats over the last few years. The Democratic Party, They are the party of slavery, the party of the KKK. They are the party of lynchings, Jim Crow, segregation, castration, and mutilation of children. They are the Democrats. They are the party of allowing mentally ill men into women's sports, jails, and bathrooms. The Democrats are the party of abortions up until birth and the old Virginia governor, maybe even after birth. They are the party of decades of violent riots, the party of Antifa. They burned electric cars, Teslas, not long ago, while claiming to love the environment. The Democrats, they govern every out-of-control big city in this country, and yet they want to disarm us. The Democrats killed John F. Kennedy. They killed Abraham Lincoln. They shot Ronald Reagan. They shot Donald Trump, and they tried to kill him a second time. The time is now for a national divorce. They owe us reparations, and in the words of Andrew Breitbart, war. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I couldn't find that clip. Not find it. I couldn't download that clip fast enough for the show, pal. I wish I did. Okay. National divorce. How does that happen?
How it happened the first time.
There's no clean border for this. There's no clean Mason-Dixon line to say who's on what side of what line.
We'll have to figure it out. It's going to be ugly.
Well,
name a divorce. Have you ever met anyone who had an actual divorce and it was just clean and amicable to both sides?
Oh yeah,
No.
absolutely. I've seen many of them. I've seen many of them. But when you have a divorce like that, and you're fighting over custody of I don't know, nuclear weapons, how exactly does that work?
Or do we just keep going the way we're going, Gene? And I go and give a speech tomorrow and I get shot.
Listen. I was born at night, but it wasn't last night. I don't fall for the rhetorical bullshit like that. What do you mean I have to come up with the idea? You're the one that's fostering the idea of national divorce. The burden's on you.
You want us to stay on YouTube. I can tell you how a national divorce would work. It's just going to get us kicked off YouTube.
Well,
we all know how it would work.
I'm sorry. I don't think it's feasible or tenable, and I think everybody's going to end up losing on that. I think, and BZ, I'll let you respond to me here for a second. To me, the solution has to be a law and order solution. I think the FBI needs to start taking all of these, keyboard commandos that are out there on Blue Sky, on Reddit, and other places that allow people with impunity to talk about political violence. They need to start taking these threats seriously. The FBI needs to go to every one of these people's abodes, locations, houses, offices, whatever, and they need to be investigated just like they would have back in the old days. What do you think about that as a start?
Well, in an ideal world, that would be worthwhile. That would be worth seeking. But the way things are today, the FBI at one time, I worked for the FBI a long time ago. And at one point, I think they have got about 9,000, 10,000 agents right now, maybe about 11,000 or so. They are seriously understaffed. And there isn't any law enforcement organization that isn't seriously understaffed because their gene pool is rotten anywhere and everywhere. You're having to choose from various Gen Z people, and they simply don't. For example, when I went through the academy at CHP in 1980, each academy, CHP put through maybe 4 academies a year with close to 300 or 400 people. They're lucky if they get 32 right now through an academy. So number one, you're going to have a problem with that. Can you arrest your way out of a number of these situations? Well, the person that said no is full of shit. Yes, as a matter of fact, you can. But you have to have a plan, a product, a briefing, like a military warning order to make sure that you know what it is that you're going after. So I'm of two minds about all of this. Yes, apply law enforcement. Yes. Did it work in DC? You bet it did. Is law enforcement the only answer? Well, no, it clearly cannot be the only answer. And I've had enough time, and you guys have had enough time. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not enough. But when I first heard of this, my response was visceral, very emotive. And it has taken me time, and listening to Rick, He said some things on his prior show, and also when I was listening to his show this morning, in terms of, well, we have to temper, because my first thought was, okay, nuclear option, fuck it, fuck them, fuck everybody. It cannot be that way.
That's a whole lot of fucking.
You bet it is. And as Rick has said, though, the things that we do, we have to make sure that we don't do in the name of Charlie Kirk, because that's not what he would want. And I fervently believe that to be true. As I've said, he's a much better person than me. Yes, law enforcement obviously has to be a component of this, but it has to be attacked on all sides. You know, do I have an answer? No, not a clear answer. I really don't. I mean, I'm gobsmacked like everybody else.
I want to add this
must
to
be
the
a component.
conversation before I turn it back over to you guys. There's a report coming from Nick Sauter on X. He's a pretty prominent reporter out there. The FBI have a few hot leads and, quote, a little bit of foreign intelligence related to the Charlie Kirk shooter. And this is coming from justthenews.com and John Solomon. So this, we've been working under the theory that this may be someone on the left. If there is an international element to that, that certainly complicates things even more, Galloway. What do you think?
I think we need to hear more about that. I don't.
Well, you know what? I think that's a good call. I do, Rick. I'm going to be coming to you because Andrew Young, one of our friends from KLRN, who, by the way, you're telling me there's like hundreds and hundreds on KLRN stream right now who are watching us. So shout out to all you guys. I didn't get a chance to say hi to you guys. You're awesome for hanging out. I want to get what Andrew was saying here. The problem with national divorce is the left won't stop its push for violence against the right. It will only be intensified since the blue states will continue to degrade and blame the red states for their self-imposed problems.
But
what do you say to Andrew?
First, I think he's right. But
what did I
here's
say
the
to
thing.
Andrew? Played out the next comment.
I will as soon as Rick's done, and then I'll play the next comment. I promise I will, pal.
But here's the thing. At that point, we are two separate countries. So at that point, if they decide to be violent with us, we can nuke the fuck out of them and move on.
And Ross did say that we would still have a Second Amendment in our territory.
So bring it on, bitches.
But would you even need a Second Amendment at that point? Because as Rick would say, if there's a national divorce, it's just another country on this continent that we would have to deal with.
I mean,
by the way,
don't forget they'll have open borders and we won't, so we can always do some guerrilla.
We have a wall.
We can always do some guerrilla raids if they get froggy. We can shut them down real quick.
All right, so not to make this about me, what happens to
when do you not do
all of those? Well, it's always about me. Stop it. This is my show. Goddamn it. No, it's our show. Me and Ross. He has 50% custody, but I'm in New York. I'm a Republican, at least by New York standards. What happens to me when that wall goes up? I got to displace my entire life.
Better vote with your feet, motherfucker.
Okay, well, I'm just saying that's the
I got none. I got none. I ain't trying to hate on you, but I got no sympathy. Vote with your feet, bitch.
All right, but what about
I
all
did.
that?
I was left with no opportunity. I came
What
from
about all that
California.
prime farm territory in New York that you end up losing?
They won't know what to do with it, so it doesn't matter. They'll still starve.
All right, listen. I just want to be clear that yes, Gene is always about Gene. But I want to be clear about what you're articulating. I just want to make sure. Because I still don't know from you guys where these borders are going up. Is it a wall around New York City, but Long Island is still good? Is it a wall around New Jersey? Where do you want this wall to be? Draw the map for me.
They like big cities, bro. So they like living on top of each other. So we'll pack them in somewhere and then put a wall around it. That's all.
That's it.
Coffee Grind is roasting me because I'm being too.
And by the way, BZ keeps saying, Charlie Kirk wouldn't have wanted us to do any of this stuff in his name. I'm just going to say for the record, if somebody takes me out, Gene, absolutely get revenge in my name. Do it in my name.
I
We
already
know that. I will march.
already
At
know.
that point, I
already
will
know
march
to avenge you.
with my Ross Galloway banner. So don't worry about none of that because we already know.
By the way, what is the color of the flag still pink and purple with an RG on it?
You can make whatever color you want. Just make sure Ross Galloway. This is for Ross Galloway is embroidered on there somewhere.
Yes, for Galloway, absolutely. Well, guys, we've gotten to the point of the show where I guess we're talking about solutions, but I don't even know if we. First of all, I'm not smart enough to give a solution for this whole thing. Like I said, there are so many other considerations to think about when you think about a national divorce or something like that. I'm still willing to give this American experiment a chance here. I'm still willing to see if we can pull all this together, and I'm hopeful that people, at least, I mean, listen, I'm realistic and I'm hopeful at the same time. I'm realistic that in a week's time, nothing's going to change and then we're back to the same old rhetoric. But I'm hopeful that in that interim period within that week, that there are some people on that other side of the aisle who come to their senses and start looking at this being, man, now I'm in the jackpot a little bit here. And maybe because I'm in the jackpot with whatever crazy may come at me, that maybe I need to start minding my P's and Q's as well here. Anybody who wants to take that can certainly take that and run with it. Is there going to be a moderation of tone coming out of this from media?
You know, I used to say something similar to Senator, that I used to be able to predict in some kind of modicum of a fashion in some point that I had a fairly good idea. I've lost that. I can no longer make predictions. After about 2016 or so, my ability, my grasp of the slightest amount of prescience is gone. It is absolutely gone. It's been stepped on, trampled, squished like a bad hamster by a T-34 Russian tank, which was banged into first gear by a 5-pound sledge. I have no idea where this is going to go because everything, as we know, because we are adults right here on this bus, everything changes from day to day. Can we accurately predict? No, I don't think so. We'll find out much when we discover who and what the shooter is aligned. On the other hand, don't think that you won't be placed forcibly into some kind of Stephen Paddock situation where you never know what the fuck the motivation was.
There's a rumor going on about you, BZ, saying that your prescience was killed with bourbon and coffee.
No, wrong. No, absolutely wrong. No, that's wrong. Vodka. Get it straight. Vodka.
Yeah,
I've said
fucking
clear,
commie.
there isn't any problem that can't be solved with one of two things: vodka or a throat punch, guaranteed.
Vodka.
Sometimes both, but I'm not a fan of potato water unless it's Polish vodka. That shit's good.
It better be Wheatley's because otherwise it's commie shit. But anyways,
Well, actually, I'm a fan of Kettle One, so thank you.
Okay, well that's not Russian, so that's okay.
That's right.
I guess my last question is, hey Ross, can I come and sleep over your place until this blows over?
We're all full. No more New Yorkers here, please.
Yeah. You pulled up the ladder behind you. Yes, son of a bitch.
I burned the ships. That's it.
Burn the ships, indeed. All right. Well, listen, I'm pretty much out of clips. We can talk about how Van Jones went around calling Charlie Kirk a race monger because of his pointing out that the killer of that Ukrainian woman on the public transportation turned out to say that he got that white girl, and how dare he share that? Or we can start wrapping things up here. I know, Rick, you got other things to do tonight, right?
No, we're actually covering this all night. So if you want to run long a little bit, you can.
Don't threaten me with a good time. I can keep talking on and on.
Hey, you already offered me your lap, so you threatened me with a good time, sir.
Oh, baby, that was a private chat, and I can't believe you just exposed that on air. What the hell is wrong with you?
You're welcome.
I want to go into, I guess, the last topic we can talk about here, and BZ sort of touched on this earlier. Was like, what now? What next? What next to me entails what the FBI Kash Patel, the Trump administration, what are they going to do as a response to this? And I luckily have two former law enforcement officers here on the stream. I want to start with my co-host here. Ross, what would be the acceptable response from law enforcement and from the Trump administration to the aftermath of what happened to Charlie Kirk?
All right, so you mentioned there's a possible, foreign intelligence component to this. I'm going to put that to the side for a second. My gut is usually not wrong. This is a Democrat for sure. So what I'd like to see the Trump administration do, I would love to see Donald Trump come on TV and give an Oval Office address and declare the Democratic Party as a domestic terrorist organization, right? That's what I'd like to see happen. I know that's never going to happen, but that's what I'd like to see happen. As far as the FBI and law enforcement, really start cracking down and following money, right? All these protests and riots that were funded by extremely wealthy Democrats or foreigners that want to sow discord in our country, figure out who those people are and prosecute them. I'll end this little mini rant with this. You said that we had to give them a little more time, Gene. Where are the fucking arrests? The Trump administration has been in power now for about 6, 7 months, 8 months. Where are the arrests? Right? We know the Democrats are evil. We know they're doing terrible things. Right? This shooter is going to be one dude, but where are the arrests for the conspiracy that is the Democratic Party?
Well, I mean, I want to talk about foreign money coming in from like Soros, going to different dark money organizations. We just learned recently about an organization called Chorus that is paying those on the left who do what we do $8,000 a month for different strategy and training and things like that really end up being, turning them into a message monolith. I want to talk about dark money a lot in this, but obviously people are going to think, well, that's ancillary to what's going on. Obviously, we need arrests in this case. I want to see a crackdown on threats and violence online. I want to see local police start taking online threats of violence a little more seriously. That's just to start with here. And yes, follow the money. Where does the money go? Which organizations are getting them? And start cracking down on those. And yes, I even think that there needs to be investigations into those in leftist media and who hold elective office who end up putting out statements like what that bitch from Connecticut, Murphy, was saying. That we're in a war and that you got to do whatever you have to do in war and things like that. I think all these people, to take the words of my father from, when I was growing up, they're being a little free with their mouth. And it's time for them to get a little smack for being a little too free with their mouths. That's what I think. Hang on a second here. I'm checking Galloway's comments on our chat room. What are you going to drop on Freedom Chat? By the way, I wasn't even going to mention a sponsor for this show, and you're throwing Freedom Chat out into the world.
I was just replying to what Coffee Grinder was saying up there.
You're worse of a grifter than I am. You son of a bitch.
These guys are grifters. Had to be done.
Had to be done, yes. BZ, what do you want to see coming out of the immediate aftermath of this? And then we'll start wrapping it up.
Are you talking ideally, or are you talking in terms of practicality?
I want to see whatever you want to do.
Practicality, you're not going to see a fraction of that. Guaranteed. When I was working for the FBI, I decided I didn't want to work for them any longer after about 1.5 years or so at WMFO and then also in New York. New York was a trash pile at the time. I haven't been there in a long time, but it certainly was then. Then I went to the U.S. Marshal's office. Then I determined I didn't want to be a bailiff. Then I determined I didn't want to be involved whatsoever in the federal system. I can tell you this, nothing has predominantly changed in the FBI hierarchy. The people on the 7th floor, except for a handful of select few, are those who are trying to restore order, but there is too much what people would call deep stateism in the rest of the FBI, and certainly in the DOJ, and certainly in the Department of State. So until you get those rats out, and you'll have to blow them out with C4 and Comp 5 and maybe some det cord, unless that happens, predominantly things are not going to change. Now, it has been stemmed slightly with Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, and perhaps a few others up on the 7th floor. But there is too much inculcated corruption in the federal government with law enforcement agencies right now for you to get what you would consider to be some kind of a satisfying outcome. So realistically, do not expect that.
I hear you. Rick, your turn.
Well, first I want to clear up one point because I thought you knew. I may not look like it anymore, but at one point I was a badge and a gun guy too for like the
Were
90s,
you?
2000s. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I did not know. Or
No, it's
maybe
all
I
right.
did know and I forgot. I'm sorry.
Nobody thinks that when they see me anymore because I came out a lot worse than I went in. I have an extra wobble now. Took a fire extinguisher to the back of the head, so now my eye's even crazier than it was. So yeah, all kinds of good things.
But you're so tiny.
What?
You're so tiny. Were you like a Polly Pocket officer?
Dude, I'm 5'9". I'm not that small.
There wasn't a height limit, a height minimum. 5'9". What are you using, metric?
Jesus. Shut up. I'm pretty sure you're shorter than I am.
Yeah, 5'9", maybe with the hat on and the 6-inch lifts in the shoes.
5'9".
Hey, we're not supposed to bring up the lift.
Shit that high.
What was that, Russ?
We're not supposed to talk about the lifts, man. The lifts were a secret.
You ever see that Full Metal Jacket? 5'9". I didn't know you could stack shit that high.
I mean, now that I'm in my 50s, it's closer to 5'8", because as you get older, you start shrinking.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, but the thing about this is, I am a little bit encouraged by something I just saw that went out on Town Hall. It looks like Donald Trump is vowing to find everybody involved in this. So we will see if he actually does it this time. But I'm kind of on the side with these guys. There's way too much corruption everywhere for us to get any solid answers, and it'll be a while one way or the other. Again, what I do want to say is I'm not saying not to fight. We need to decide how we're going to fight. And I would much rather push for the amicable, you guys take this spot, we wall you off, and you live your life and we live ours approach than the let's go to guns with each other. Because we're going to survive that. They won't.
There are a lot of people on the precipice that are just waiting for the final push.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yep.
This was the mistake they made, because Charlie Kirk was one of the people that could have talked us back from the cliff that we're on, and they just took him out. This is why I'm honestly a little concerned.
And I firmly believe that if you're saying that my things are unrealistic, I think what you guys are saying as far as national divorce, completely unrealistic. Never.
I'm not saying that there's going to be a national divorce. I'm saying that the elements right now, if all it would take is one flick of a match for another serious incident like this, something similar, maybe depending upon the tolerance level, another, but there will be a point at which persons will say, no mas. Now, what happens after that, I cannot even begin to guess, but it won't be pretty.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think we've gotten
Ross
closer
is
to that point.
smiling way too much with that thought. That's concerning. Ross
But,
has got
but
the
he's
chest.
right. But he's right. Every one of these events ends up closer. It's like the
I mean, it's another domino.
Boiling water, right? The frog's in the pot. Sooner or later, people are going to start feeling froggy and start jumping.
No, and I think we are dangerously close to being there. That's why I'm saying they chose poorly. I will say this, as more and more information starts coming out about possible international connections, I've kind of had the whole Archduke Ferdinand thing rolling around in the back of my head all day. I'm thinking this may be something from a foreign government trying to destabilize us because of all the trouble Trump is causing with the New World Order folks. But we'll see.
And this is an example why those first 24 hours are so fog of war that we need to keep the powder dry and see what the field looks like in a little bit.
But have you not gotten to the point where you don't trust law enforcement anymore? I was law enforcement. I don't trust law enforcement very much anymore. Look at what San Bernardino did. Look at what DC did. Look at what Baltimore did. Look at what the LAPD did. Look at what the LASO did. Look at what the large urban leftist rat cage law enforcement that's there. will lie to your fucking face in a bald, naked fashion and tell you you're the one that's insane. Who jiggered the stats in CompStat and have been doing it for so long that it was made fun of on Homicide by David Brooks in a book by him, and also in The Wire from 2002 on HBO. That was a point of derision even back right after 2000, and it's continued to be so.
I mean,
hey, BZ, you got a new fan here. Tell everybody about your show and when it's on SHR Media.
Customarily, it's on Tuesday and Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Pacific and 10 p.m. Central and 11 p.m. Eastern. It's a late night conservatarian talk show. I happen to be one's conservative Sherpa, and I am guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. With great bombast and shenanigans, alcohol may have been involved, and then following, hilarity ensues.
I swear to God, I'll pistol whip the next guy that says shenanigans.
What I said, what he said.
Shenanigans.
Shenanigans.
Go ahead. When's the beating, Brian? It ain't coming.
The next time
You ain't nothing but a lot of talk and a badge. That's all.
The next time I see you, sir. But yeah, I second BZ. Granted, I did private security a lot longer than I did actual law enforcement for reasons beyond my control. But I used to be the guy who always had a coffee pot on, and they always knew that they could come over anytime, grab coffee. I stopped that shit about 4 years ago. I don't do it anymore. I don't trust any of them anymore any further than I could throw them.
And what a sad commentary that is.
And speaking of sad commentary, hey, Rick, tell everybody about KLRN. I'm not doing that. Sorry.
Wow.
I was going to say, let's reverse here. Let's smack it down here and reverse it. Hey, Rick, the great KLRN radio. By the way, hundreds strong tonight. The people of KLRN.
For anybody who has questions, this is why I oppress the Italian anytime he's on my airwaves.
Yes, he oppresses me when I'm on his shows.
For reasons.
What you got going on tonight? You going to be keeping this going?
Yeah, we'll be continuing the discussion about Charlie Kirk over on our feed until we go over to SHR feed for Sean's Edge of Liberty at 11 Eastern. And I think our programming is going to kind of be in that vein for the next day or so, just because everybody's like, I don't even feel like doing on normal stuff right now. And I'm like, I'm kind of with you, so I get it.
Oh, believe me, it was hard to do this for me anyway.
Dude, I cheered up for like the first 15 minutes of the show that I started at 6 because I just couldn't. Because I don't know Charlie Kirk, but we've interacted. He's followed me for a while. He's been on my show a few times. We used to talk back and forth by DM once in a while. Mm-hmm. And it's just, seeing somebody that has been that on fire for as long as he's been an adult. Dude has been on fire for the conservative movement since probably before he was 18, but nobody really knew who he was till he came on the scene in 18.
Oh, I remember meeting Charlie at CPAC. I think it was 2012 when we met him. He was still just a kid. And I kind of was like, I know this kid was going to go somewhere because he was motivated and you just tell the energy there was boundless. Didn't really talk to him too much because, again, when you're dealing with kids that age, I always felt like, I don't want to corrupt them into thinking my way. Let them find their own path. And did he find his own path? Unreal.
Yeah, I'm kind of with as successful as he was. I'm kind of wishing I would have stayed in his orbit a little bit better.
You know what? I don't feel that way at all. I think whenever it comes to things like that, it's like, oh, I met this one. I was in the same room with that one. I don't think that way. I'm just glad that people find their successes, and I can say, hey, I knew them when, and that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean it in a negative way. I'm just saying, since I've been the one that's been trying for 16 years to make this make money, and I finally at least gotten there, I was like, dude, if I'd have kept in a better orbit with a couple of other people, I'd probably be making a lot more money.
Oh, no, I hear that too. But you know what? After what happened today, I'm kind of glad I'm in the position that I'm in, and I'm not having to worry about getting security or, family members being,
I've been shot
damage. Well,
I've been
and I haven't been, so. All right, gentlemen, I'm going to let you two go, and Ross and I are going to finish things up from here because we got to get moving. Thanks so much for coming on, commiserating with us. I hope this was a little bit therapeutic to get a little bit of stuff out. And God
Thank you
bless.
so kindly for inviting me. I greatly appreciate it, sir.
Listen, it's my pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on.
Ross, good to meet you. Gene, good to meet you.
Good to meet you, man. This was a blast.
I'm just glad you didn't. I'm just glad you didn't have a smelling toast moment like you did on my show. I still don't know what was going on.
No, my computer died.
If there's anyone here that needs to be worried about smelling toast, it's
you.
It's certainly me. It's certainly me. All right, gentlemen, have a good night. I'm going to remove you now. Get the hell out of here. I'll see you later. Bye, guys. Ross, let's wrap this up. We went a lot longer than we should have. By the way, programming note for anybody who's still watching, we are not doing Buffoonology 101 this week. It just doesn't feel right to start making fun of people and having comedy right now. We need a little bit of time to mourn. I want to thank the hundreds that were on KLRN. I'm sure Rick will get that to me. And also the over 100 that we've had live on our 3 different outlets, on YouTube, on Rumble, on X. Big night here for us. I'm glad that you were here to share it with us. You could have been anywhere tonight, but you chose to be with us. Make sure before you leave, if you like where you're watching, and leave us a comment saying, hey, whatever, that would really be cool. But it's time to shut it down. Ross, I'm giving you the final word, because at moments like this, you're so much better at expressing the anger. I have a lot of trouble expressing it. So I'm counting on you, pal.
All right, good. So let me get through this. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. From COVID tyranny to stealing elections to killing our people, I think we made the case for a national divorce. That's my final thought.
Okay, so that's not my final thought, but I appreciate it. I'm definitely, I don't express emotion, especially on camera or anything like that, because I want to be the level-headed one while everyone else gets their stories out. Someone's got to be the ringmaster, right? But no, inside I am furious, absolutely furious. Like, you can't avoid it at this point. And then I think about Charlie Kirk's words that he said in that video we played earlier, that when the conversation starts, that's when the violence begins. The left has ended the conversation. So now I think we're going to be in a time for a lot more violence than we've seen so far. But at some point on the other end of that violence, the conversation has to start again, because even the worst enemies of the world eventually do get back together and come to an end of hostilities. So I have to think that there is a peace on the other side of whatever may be coming at us here. And I think that our common lineage, our common cause here in this country, will help what the bonds that we have here endure. At least that's my hope. And I got to believe that there's more sane people out there than there are crazies out there. I just have to believe it. And that's my final thought from this whole thing. And now I guess we're going to shut this sucker down, folks. Thanks for tuning into the show. I'm Gene. He's Ross. We're both behind enemy lines. You ready to go, pal? You're jumping for a last word. All right, so we're going to get out of here. Thanks so much for tuning in. God bless. Good night. Godspeed, Charlie Kirk, and keep his family in your thoughts and prayers. Good night.
We're not allowed, not without electro.
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear?
Teeth, don't let them have sway. Conservative battalions walking them out, marching through the streets while the buffoons all shout. Move in the shadows. Democrat cave.